Take it away, kid.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor, Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's Milton's first son, Tim Hoey. We're over another great show for tonight, so boys, let's get it started. We start with the New England Patriots, and all right, when we were last on this show, we admitted that the Buffalo Bills-Patriots game was as painful.
Yeah.
In fact, what Joe didn't even last. You fell asleep at halftime?
Yeah, that was brutal.
Okay, so that was brutal because it was just a poorly played game.
Boring game. Yeah.
Boring game. I mean,
Yeah.
Patriots won, but it was
Right.
still boring, right?
It was a Thursday nighter.
It wasn't entertainment.
Yeah.
So, and that's what sports is.
It looked like two of those crappy teams that play on Thursday nights that you don't even watch.
Right.
If you bet on it, you don't
That's
even watch.
right.
So then we have the Patriots play the Titans, and by halftime you're sickened. And again, did you fall asleep?
They've only beat on the road this year. They've beaten two last place teams, and they didn't look good doing it with either one. And anyone else they're getting their clock cleaned.
So everyone always says, okay, they were unenthused. They showed no energy. Isn't that always the case when you lose? You know, when you lose by a lot.
Yeah, it seems like if you perform badly, it makes it look. It looks.
Football's an extremely emotional game. I mean,
Yeah.
you can literally.
But you can be emotional, Tim, and still get wiped out.
Sure.
But they started
Sure,
sulking
if
you're
off
left-
that stupid coaching mistake of the first play.
If the talent level's pretty even, the emotion sometimes will carry you.
Oh,
in football.
absolutely. But we
Right.
assume that the talent
Yeah, when you
level's not
perform
even.
badly, it does look like you're not trying.
Hey, we
Right,
have to
exactly,
admit,
right.
This isn't a very talented Patriots team. It's not, and if they make it, they're going to make it on emotion, and they're going to make it on the will to win.
And being
The fact
super
is, we need
smart.
to be positive because they are 7-3, and as you know, I predicted 9 wins.
I can tell you why
So
they
I would
lost.
tell you that this record at the break is
The
better
cat
than
that
I
ate the
expected.
canary over
I
here.
could have guaranteed
better
you
than I expected.
a Tennessee victory because for the first time in ages,
you
I
picked-
picked the Patriots to win.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
I got off of that Detroit game, which was like a scar, like a 6-foot scar down my back.
Yeah, because then we won 6 straight, right?
Because we won
Yeah.
6 straight, so I got sucked in. But maybe they are what they are.
I got a question for you. So, the long kickoff return right off the opening kickoff. right?
Absolute
Why
stupid coaching
why are we
decision.
not kicking the ball into the end zone
I
at this
know.
point in time?
The stupid.
I'll answer that question, Russ, is because all we talk about in the offseason, Belichick, is we're going to get guys who are good in special teams. That's every guy who's supposed to be in the Patriots is supposed to be a special
They
teamer.
spend a lot of money
We have
on
more.
special
We have
teams.
more full-time special teamers than any team in the league, and we have the worst special teams in the league.
Yeah,
so
and
far
then
as
you
I can
have
see.
your best standout and special teams, Matthew Slater, who's out. He's sick
Yeah.
for that game, and yet you're right. They still kick it.
Oh
at the
no,
10
they're
yard line.
30th out of 32 in
Yeah.
kickoff return.
No, that was
who
so
are we?
disappointing.
Are we that team that won 6 straight, or are we that team
Probably
that
somewhere
got
in
destroyed
between, right?
by, Detroit and get destroyed this week?
Yeah, I think Joe's right. We're not a good road team. Just
Terrible.
statistically
That's-
which
speaking,
we're
we're
gonna
not a
need to
good
be.
road team,
Yeah.
which we're going to need to be.
That's gutless
And
pukes.
and we've talked about this. We have a very, very slow defense, right?
Yep, right.
And when teams get rolling on
Glacial.
us, it's tough to stop them.
And is it a coincidence that the two teams who absolutely destroyed us are people who know the Patriots system?
Yeah.
And they know the chinks in the armor.
And
they
weren't afraid to
attack- they
dig it
attack
in,
them.
Vrabel
Oh,
with
no.
the
With that trick play.
the trick play,
Yeah.
right after the other trick play. that
After
was
stumbled on Brady goes, ass over tea
Because
kettle.
remember,
listening,
Vrabel
Joe.
and
You know he's
Belichick used
watching
to
and
go at it a
listening,
lot.
right?
They had a friendly
Well, he
competition
hasn't
when
come
they were
on,
playing.
so.
You're going to run into him in Hamilton.
Yeah, I know.
He's going to come
Hey,
up
look,
and confront you.
there were a lot of missed receivers on Brady's part the other day. They clearly made Brady feel uncomfortable, and I think that's what guys like Vrabel can do to him.
Yeah, and it's come out the statistic that Tom Brady is the worst quarterback in football
This year.
Yeah, this year
Is
when
he?
it comes to handling blitzes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that used to
statistically,
be his
worst
thing,
against the
right?
You know,
blitz.
there was
Yeah,
a stat
yeah.
the announcer was talking about it. Nobody blitzes Brady. He has hardly been blitzed.
Well,
all
he's
year.
always torched every team in the
That's
last
right,
18
yeah.
years who
Yeah,
did that.
but he can't do
And
it
Edelman
anymore.
has always been his little release valve on the blitzes.
Because it's the Giselle factor, and I brought Giselle up last year.
I was with
but
you on this.
Giselle-
You was you and me.
She's look.
It was you and me.
First
He's
of all,
soft now, right?
Right.
You're right.
I mean, he's curling up like Tony Eason.
Yeah.
Never even thought about curling up. Giselle has gotten into his head that Tommy Boy. No, I want you in one piece for the next 40 years, which
disagree
is
with that.
absolutely
I
makes
disagree
sense.
with that. I think he is smart enough to say, I'm going to live to play the next play and the rest of the game instead of trying to be a freaking hero and
Yeah.
and sacrificing my body.
Well, he
All right,
did.
well, whatever he's thinking,
Throw
he's,
the ball out of bounds.
would you agree he doesn't want? There's times that getting hurt is in his mind when he's
there
playing
was a guy
football.
5 feet away from him and he just threw it away.
He
didn't try to
did
do
look
anything.
like Tony Eason a few times the other day.
No, but would you agree
Yeah.
that he, in his mind, he's
Yeah.
thinking, I don't want to get hurt in certain
He
plays.
still thinks he's a great quarterback. Bill Belichick told him before the season, "You ain't. I'll get you if you make these 5 incentives. You'll be. You got to be in the top 5 in any one or all of these categories, and we will pay you like a top 5 quarterback."
do you think-
And he is not going to make any of those incentives because he is not a top 5
Do you think
quarterback anymore.
how the season goes this year is going to be a major factor if he continues to play?
I think that he may have already made the decision, right?
He was sulking early, and I'm not used to him sulking until the second half.
This feels like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon.
Well, I still think that a lot of his post-career brand is going to be based on how long he actually plays at a high level. And if he's not injured, my guess is he's coming back. But I think he has longevity on his mind. I mean, I think your original point, which is he's sort of caving in on some of these, whereas 3 or 4 years ago he might have tried to extend the play and take a bigger hit.
And some of those throws, he made some really bad throws last week that was, I need to get rid of this ball right now.
But in previous weeks, he's made some very good throws.
Yeah, no, he's just
Well, no, he's only been middle of the pack or below in his completion percentage and his accuracy. He hasn't been as accurate. He used to always be the top of the accuracy.
But Joe, he doesn't have the
Stats.
wide receivers. He doesnn't have the
No,
the
but he
wide
can still be
receivers.
accurate. It doesn't matter when catch or drop.
What was the Gronk factor in this game? I mean, did that allow Tennessee to completely have a different defense against us?
Oh, well, I'm sure it did.
Well, of course, it always helps to have Gronk in the field, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but it's the Chris Hogans and the Philip Dorsetts who are
Yeah.
obviously not contributing at all.
Yeah.
Look, what happens typically when guys get older is they'll still flash at their best, but they have trouble being consistently great from week to week. It's what happened when Garnett started to fade on the Celtics. He'd go out and have a game that you'd say, oh my God, he looks like the Kevin Garnett of the old, and then the next night he comes out. It's possible this could be starting to happen to Brady, where he's still going to be very good often, but he's not going to be great all the time.
Yeah, look. If this guy was a baseball player at 41, Brady would be rested, right? If he was a
Yeah.
starting pitcher, he would be taking a couple of starts off, right?
Right.
But unfortunately, in football, he's the quarterback. He can't do
They
that.
can't afford
So
it.
obviously, they played a long season without a break. He was physically exhausted, and it showed on Sunday.
The bye week could be just in time.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, or it could be a little late.
Also, we don't have a
Yeah.
running game either. I mean, a guy
Yeah.
who's 41-year-old
That's another
quarterback
great
needs
point.
a running game, and that's what was supposed to be.
That
with
would
the
be a
first-
nice crutch for him.
Right, but that's what
Yeah.
losing Deion Lewis really hurt on a game like this.
Yeah.
Not that Deion Lewis was playing against
Yeah.
us, but he wasn't playing for us. Yeah. So, all right, boys, look, Josh Gordon, we've decided we've gotten as much as we possibly can from Josh Gordon, but that was too much to ask on Sunday. And Josh Gordon's out of shape.
Oh, yeah.
I
Since
mean,
he got here. And he hasn't made an effort to get in shape, it doesn't look like.
right, the whole premise of that Josh Gordon gets a 45-yard completion, and to throw the ball to him the next play, you could just
Forget
see the
about
guy.
it, yeah,
His
forget
tongue
about
was on the ground.
They're clearly trying to get the ball to him,
Obviously,
right?
yeah.
And they really want him to be a key part of the offense, but I think they've overemphasized
Well, I
it.
mean, some people put him in the top 5 receivers in the league. You obviously want to use the guy as much as
But
you
they're
can.
forcing it. Wouldn't you agree?
But
Feels
what
like
a
it.
catch radius he has. If Brady's not as accurate as he used to be, that'll forgive a lot of sins because
Yeah.
he's going to have he'll have like a Gronkowski type catch
where,
radius.
where are we if we didn't get Josh Gordon?
We'd be in a lot of trouble. Look, the investment in trying to get a lot of balls to Gordon, we won't know the result of that until later in the year. If week 15, 16 in the playoffs, Gordon's sort of catching everything, then maybe it was worth it. But we may have lost a game the other day because of it.
You know what's
Right.
insane is this great franchise, and most of their success is going to be based on a guy they took off the trash heap.
Well, that,
You know, a
but
guy
in a
who-
lot
Yeah,
of
that's what
ways,
you've
it's
been
always,
saying.
but that's
Yeah, you've
always
been
been
saying
the
that all along.
Patriots,
Yeah.
way, right? I mean,
crazy.
even starting with the 2001 team, you had the Otis Smiths of the world,
Yep.
who were huge
Roman
contributors.
Pfeiffer.
you
But
know?
this guy was really written off completely.
Well, LeGarrette Blount a couple years ago was cut by the Steelers late in the year. We picked him up and he led us
He
to a
walked.
Super
He
Bowl.
walked off the field.
Yeah.
Well, look at our running backs
That's
who won
usually
Super Bowls. The Antoine Smiths of the
Oh,
world,
Antoine
right?
Smith, 3
Waiver
yards
wi-
every time, no
The
matter
Corey
what.
Dillons,
Yeah.
right? The Blunts of the world.
Yeah.
But I think Josh Gordon is a different level.
He's a
of
different level guy.
discarded.
Yeah.
He was at like the precipice of falling off. Of
That's
the
right.
Yeah,
cliff.
he's got multiple
Yeah.
marks
Yeah.
against him.
So
Okay, so we get
still a
excited.
chance. There's still a chance.
All right, so we get excited. You know, look, again, it's always entertainment. We get excited about the Red Sox because they have great young players. Who we're going to be talking about? Devers, right? And Benintendi. All these guys are progressing.
Yeah.
The Bruins, of course, have a bunch of young
Yeah.
players that everybody's thinking about, seeing them, watching the development. And, of course, the Celtics, that the whole roster is full of them.
Yeah.
Name one player on the New England Patriots that you're interested
Young
in
up-and-coming
young
guy?
up-and-coming
There's
and watching
there's
their
only one
development.
guy who's close. You've mentioned him several times. Is Sony Michel. It's the one
Right.
guy you could imagine, like if he can gets healthy,
Well, we
they give him a
also
lot of.
lost our first-round pick to an injury, the Achilles,
Yeah.
the lineman. And
No, but I'm talking
I
about all
still
the
know,
current
right
roster.
now, I know right now.
You know,
And even
There's
then,
one
I
guy.
wouldn't have rathered the number one back at George Chubb. He's tearing up the league right now.
but God, that's sports. If they don't play, what are we talking about them for?
Yeah.
I'm only interested in the guys playing. But all right,
Yeah,
other than
Sony
Sony
Michel.
Michel,
That's it.
and Joe hates Sony Michel, and Joe has
Don't
Sony
hate him.
Michel.
I just prefer
Oh,
Chubb. They should have drafted the better back.
so now there is less hate than the last few weeks, and when
No.
I had the whole Michel family calling me up.
Yeah,
Why
but I
does the
think he's the only
mailman
guy.
hate him so much?
But
We're not even getting our mail now.
But your point is that there just aren't young, exciting players on the Patriots
Right.
for
Yeah.
whatever reason,
also
injury or
because
anything
we've been
else.
drafting, we've missed draft years. We're drafting always at the bottom of the pile.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
but still, that doesn't matter. I mean, in the sense that you can
Well,
still
it
get good
hurts a little bit,
players.
I
Scotty,
don't-
when you
It
pick
doesn't help, but you could still pick valuable players.
But when you don't, but it's not as much of a sure thing to get those
No,
superstar
but
guys.
the
when
Tom
you're
Brady's
picking last
and
every
Troy
year.
Browns of the world all
what-
came out of the.
So the bottom line is that we don't have anyone in the future to hang our hat on.
They can't draft with the damn.
Well, maybe one of the reasons why they didn't trade draft picks at this trade deadline this year is that they know they've missed on some draft pick. They've lost some, and they've missed on some, and they've had bad luck with others. And you take a look, you've got to restock the cabinet.
Do you
They,
think
they've got a lot of draft
Wow.
picks
Think
next
that-
year.
Wow,
Do you
the
think they-
restock of the cabinet. I like that word.
Yeah, you gotta
but that's called rebuild.
Yeah, or
Well, they do.
retool is the word that they use.
You know,
a
it's
lot.
cyclical, and you'll notice that Belichick does that every like fourth
I wonder
year.
if he's
got
stocking-
a ton of draft picks.
if he's stocking the cabinet? I'm thinking this kid from Clemson, this quarterback, is going to be the first. He's a franchise guy.
Yeah, but we're not getting him.
No,
Yeah.
in 2 years. No, but if you accumulate enough
Yeah,
draft
nobody's
picks,
giving you. Nobody's giving you.
if the franchise
That
that
guy.
ends up with that pick already has a guy they picked first in the draft or second
Yeah.
in the draft,
Well, then you
like
have to
2
go to the
years or
second
3
guy.
years
It
ago,
does happen,
is
but
it possible?
But
you
it
know?
does happen. But typically, the teams that move up already have like a 8th pick in the
But if
draft.
Cleveland finishes last and they just
Yeah.
pick Baker Mayfield,
But
you
the
know,
problem
are
is-
they willing to take 3 first-round picks for that pick?
no, they have to be the right.
Yeah.
Russ has it. It's
They're
gotta be
just
the
not
right
high
first
enough
round
picks. They're not taking 28th, 29th, 30th
Right.
picks. They got it. You got to have a number 8 pick.
Yeah, or a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something like
right.
that,
It's
you know,
usually
and we
a
won't
top
get
top
that.
10,
50,
right?
Yeah,
it
we
has
won't
to
get
be.
that.
2
Yeah.
seconds
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they can still get a top.
They're
talent.
never going to move out of the
Blue
top
chip.
10.
If I'm Belichick, I'm my plan now is to get that kid from Clemson
You got to get something like that.
or something like him.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think
Well,
that happens
Ryan
right
Hoy
away.
didn't look
I think
good.
it's going to be a guy who's probably in 7th grade right now. That
Could
you're
be.
gonna probably get.
No,
Yeah.
I think in the next year or two they have to.
I know
They
we're
have
all
to.
in denial, Timmy. I know, but the Patriots, and I know everybody who's
They should
under
have 'em right
21
now.
years old, the Patriots may have to rebuild. The Patriots may
Yeah,
have
they
to be
may have
bad
to.
again.
Why did you bring up? They had the guy in house.
Because
Jimmy
it'd be
G.
$25 million a year for the next 3 years to
And
sit
I
on
was
the
going to
bench.
bring that up, Joe.
Yep.
Thank you for the segue.
Yep.
Okay, because when the crap hits the fan, and it's going to, and you can feel it coming, the wind's blowing, it's like a blizzard.
Yep.
It's the calm before the storm. I say that Tom Brady is not part of this whole controversy. My theory is it's going to be between Kraft and Belichick on who's the blame game. Who got rid of Jimmy G? Why
He'll
is the
walk out the
franchise-
door and leave it all in Josh's lap, and poor Josh will get the.
But would you agree that the blame game is going to be between Kraft and Bill, and that's going to be
Yeah,
ugly?
whoever writes that book first, it's going
All
to
right,
be a
let's,
hell
let's
of a
get
book.
one thing straight. Jimmy G has not won crap yet. Okay?
I know,
And he's
but-
been very fragile.
He's been
in-
fragile. He hasn't won anything.
But we would feel awful good about this franchise.
You
moving
would feel a
forward,
lot
even
better
if
going
after
Would
the
it be
ACL.
realistic hope, though? Would it be pie in the sky hope? I don't think Jimmy G is the end-all, be-all, and to waste $25 million a year for the next at least 2 years.
Oh, look at that!
Of the
Ah,
salary
look at
cap.
Jimmy G. I
Look at
know
that. Look at-
Adrian's probably already
look at
looked
that.
up from your book.
Scotty's getting a little roused. Scotty's getting a little roused over here.
I know that's the only time Adrian will
but
be interested in
I-
the content of the
How,
show.
how much,
From her book.
Yeah,
how much
right,
of that
exactly.
of his salary
That's
cap
sense of it.
for this guy to sit? Brady wasn't, and I think Brady deserves the right to leave on Brady's terms. Am I giving $25 million a year for the next 2, maybe 3 years to watch
Oh, my
your boy
God.
toy sit on the bench?
Well, no, I mean,
He
there,
gets to leave on his own terms.
what-
Seriously, isn't that what we
No,
saw
this
with?
is a
Would
business.
Bob Orr be allowed to leave on his own terms? Yes. Would Bill Russell be allowed to leave on his own terms? There are
Yes,
certain
Larry
guys
Bird
in that
was.
pantheon
Absolutely.
of
Larry Bird
sports
was.
that we, you know what?
And then we paid for that.
Well,
we
okay,
paid because
okay.
McHale and Bird and look,
They all
we
got
paid
old fast,
because we
that's
didn't
right.
trade the big three. But Danny Ainge learned from that mistake, and
He
he
did.
traded the big three this time. And look what kind of
Okay,
franchise
so
we
out of the
have.
big three, I put Larry Bird on that pedestal.
is-
Nobody else. And would I have ever traded Larry Bird? No, I would have let him go out on his
Larry
terms.
Bird says he would have traded.
All right, but
himself.
Exactly.
Kevin McHale wasn't there. Robert
No, we're not
Parrish
going to
wasn't
talk about
there.
the '90s, but I'm going
So
to.
I-
I'm
I
talking
gotta-
about in relativity. Brady deserves. He has given back enough to this town.
So you think that, in Timmy's theory, that we should sacrifice
If
the
you got an
next few
employee
years
that's not
of the
measuring
franchise?
And if that employee, bought a cottage down the Cape for me and bought me a 50-foot yacht
No,
and,
that has nothing. This
and a
has
big
nothing.
house
This
in
is-
Brookline, not Milton, in Brookline, would I have some loyalty to that guy? Hey,
Do you
that's
think
just the way I'm
do you
wired.
think they should
Well,
go
I
down
think
with a sinking ship?
no.
with Tom Brady?
There's one sort of very interesting hypothetical, right? So say they probably could have kept Jimmy G around for this year, right? They
Yeah,
probably
they
could have kept him
They
around.
could have franchised.
So let's say Jimmy G was here, he wouldn't have blown his ACL. Given what we've seen out of Brady this year, right? Say we had Jimmy G on the roster, right? Given what we've seen out of Brady this year, what would you be feeling going into next year with who should be the starting quarterback of the Patriots next year?
Well, we always loved the
Which is
backup
Brady
quarterback,
hasn't
but
been
I think
bad.
it would be-
Brady
no.
hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been great.
It'd be easier to
hasn't
push him
been
out the
good
door.
either.
But it'd be easier to push Tom Brady out the door.
I'm not ready
Yeah,
to make that decision until this
Slightly
year is
below
over
average.
and
Okay,
and
that's
the
a
book is
legitimate-
closed.
that's a
and we
legitimate thing to
see
say.
How
Yeah.
it goes.
Would we at the break after watching Tom Brady perform the way he did? Would there be a quarterback controversy right now?
No,
if Jimmy G was on
probably
There
not.
always is if you got a good.
you have to
backup
win a game
quarterback.
tomorrow. And Jimmy G's healthy, and you have a choice of putting either one of them in
it's
Of
tough.
course
tomorrow.
I'm doing Tom Brady. Yeah, I mean that's a
All right.
no-brainer. All right, I know.
Oh no, I might go the other way. I might go Jimmy G.
Oh, there we go. Jeez, I'm
This
not,
year, yeah, I
Right now.
might.
Interesting.
all
And I
right.
think Belichick would have too.
All right, boys. All right, we're gonna have to go to the Celtics at some point. But final 6 games. I saw something on ESPN.com. I'm gonna give them credit. They said that the Patriots have the second easiest schedule
that's-
of the last 6 games. So what
play
we
the
have
Jets
is
twice. We
twice
need
the Jets, Bills, Pittsburgh, Minnesota,
Wait, can we
Miami
stick
at
It's 'cause
home.
they don't
At
play
Miami.
themselves.
The Jets for 1 second
No,
here,
no,
how
no, no.
horrible they are.
No, but I'm gonna say.
Well, I enjoy that.
I don't agree with that. That may be record-wise, but we know going to Miami
Oh, that's
is
always the tough
always a
Put it-
huge
put it
problem.
down.
Depends
next
on
to
whether that game means something or not.
Okay, Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh's going to be a tough game.
Remember, a couple of years
Minnes-
it didn't mean anything to
We're,
Miami. They kicked
Joe,
out.
Last time we usually play them in the massive heat. I don't think the heat's going to be quite as bad at this time of year.
Look,
now.
Joe and I think predicted them at 11-5. That's what I would predict. They'll lose.
Yeah, it looks like
they'll go
that's what it's
4-2.
gonna be.
But they could lose easily.
I was
games.
hoping
They
for
could
13
go
and
be
3.
10-6, but I
And they
still
could
think
lose
they're going to
4
have 2
games, and
losses.
then that would be 9-7. I wonder who predicted that.
Now, the
I
only
wonder.
Yeah, then you will.
There's
Oh my
no way
God.
they can lose 4.
The only
Seriously,
redeeming
there's
part
no
of
way.
Sunday was watching the Jets just get humbled
Yeah,
by
they
a
were- that was
horrible,
ridiculous.
horrible Bills team.
Can I go to Whole Foods and get crow?
Yeah, well,
That go both ways.
They make a
start-
fine humble pie.
I need Todd to start pulling tapes just so that we want to go crow for crow.
Can you imagine if they end up 9-7?
Yeah, I
Oh
can't.
my God, that's when legends
We'll
are born.
never hear the
Legends are born. All right, boys, we go to the Celtics, and I am afraid to bring up this subject. I'm
should
not.
be.
No, I'm gonna afraid. Grandpa Gordon Hayward, and I am gonna call him that no matter what. But we're gonna keep it a little nicer, and I'm gonna
Right.
say that
He doesn't
Grandpa
have the
Gordon
walker
Hayward,
anymore.
despite the fact that he's getting paid $31 million a year, maybe he hasn't been the contributor that we might have hoped, despite his injury. Would you agree?
I totally agree with you.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I would take it a step farther and say it's possible, just based on what we've seen, that he, would you say it's a sure thing that he comes back to 100% from where he was?
No, you don't.
He may not.
I don't know.
Not
I don't know.
There's
Maybe
always
the
that
season.
There's nothing's ever a short thing. I would say by maybe not this year, but by next year. I think he needs a full year to get
Wow.
full confidence
I
in that
hope
leg.
not. But
I hope
mean,
by the end of this season he's got the confidence and the head factor figured out on this injury.
Think
Yeah.
about it. Every time he goes up, he has to come down on that foot.
Yeah.
And that video's playing in his head. That's
Yeah.
an awful video.
Okay,
to
He's
get
got
out
to
of your
forget
head.
it.
Look.
He's got to forget it.
All right. Wait, first of all, the guy didn't get shot. He broke his ankle. All right.
corkscrewed
There's
his
a
ankle.
lot of guys. God bless the military. They come back.
A lot of broken
with
No one's
serious
comparing him to that. No
injuries.
one's comparing it to
so
that.
let's not do this whole PTSD
Right,
thing.
but this
So
wasn't
I'm
a
not buying
sprain- but
that.
this wasn't a
He broke
sprained
his
ankle.
I
Just
know
saying
it
he
was
can't
very
have
serious.
PTSD.
I
I
know.
think he could from
I
an
know
injury
it's
like
very
that.
serious, and God bless him. But the man got paid $31 million last year
nothing
and
to
had
do-
the best medical care that money could buy. Okay, that's fine. All I'm saying is that I just have this inkling, this feeling, and I've had this, is that maybe Gordon is not trying as hard as he possibly can to get back, and maybe he doesn't like to play unless he's 100%.
He's not
Yeah, but
100%, and he's
Jacoby Ellsbury
playing every.
disease?
He's not
He
100%, and he's
constantly
playing every
mentions that
game.
He has pain in the leg.
I mean,
That's exactly.
That's what he's saying.
Exactly. Why is he mentioning that?
He is-
He's supposed
because
to be.
maybe it hurts.
Oh, then you keep
He's-
it to yourself. Has there ever been a Boston Bruin in the history of Boston Bruins who said that they had a owie?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
broken ribs,
hockey
ruptured
players are different
spleen.
from basketball
Exactly.
players.
We're Patrice
I'm not
Bertrand ever
comparing.
tell you what he's feeling.
But why are we
I think
comparing hockey
basketball
players to basketball players?
Basketball players are somewhere between hockey and baseball players.
But they,
Right.
You know,
wait,
Drew,
wait,
what's his name?
what-
JD Drew used to have like a little rash on his
Yeah,
arm.
these
He'd
are
be
all
out for
different
2
sports.
weeks,
you
know
don't
what I
feel
mean?
awkward that he's having to express that he's getting
He's
paid.
constantly
Why does he
being
have to do
bombarded.
that?
He's
That's an
being-
excuse.
He's being bombarded
I think
with
his
questions.
whole generation, and we've talked about that generation, talks about how they feel and gives you endless
More than you want.
Right, endless information about how they feel at every single step along the way. And I think that we got to compare these guys to each other, not to other athletes and not to guys in a different generation. Right?
Okay, but you're not uncomfortable by the fact that he did a 5-part series on his
Don't care.
rehabilitation.
All
you-
that's
that-
noise.
That's the age we live in.
All of that's
But you
noise.
don't
IT
think
They're all
did.
narcissists
IT
now.
did
You don't
it. They
think that
all
shows
do
where
it.
his head is?
I don't. I think that he was catastrophically injured, worked his ass off to get back to where he was, and he's not 100%. That was the worst injury, other than Joe Theismann, I have ever seen on a professional field.
Yeah,
But
I'm right
you
there
know,
with
I
you.
think the Celtics, the green
What are you
team,
talking about?
It was.
enabled him.
It wasn't a
distinctly. We've had guys who literally
Since Joe Theismann,
been paralyzed.
all right. You know what I'm talking.
No, I don't know what you're
Joe,
talking about.
I'm talking about. I said since Joe Theismann, that was the worst injury I've seen on a
Live
professional
TV.
field.
It was brutal.
Right,
I
the
came back
worst.
from a broken femur.
It's not a
freaking
blown
hard, man.
ACL. It's not a
Listen,
blown
you
Achilles.
the muscle, everything goes in that leg from not use. I mean, I broke my femur. My left leg was skinny as a stick. With
How
a
about Wes
twist.
Welker
right,
going down
okay.
the
No,
field
I don't
and
know.
all of a
You know what?
sudden
All right,
I
so the
can't- I can't
Celtics
back
are
you
paying
up.
the
ACL.
Celtics are paying him $31 million a year, a max contract, and we're clearly not getting.
I
what-
think-
the Celtics are clearly
Well, we're not getting
That,
$31
that I
million
totally
worth.
agree. By the
Yes.
way,
Okay.
I 100% agree with
And
you.
so I use
and I
the-
100% agree with you that you have to now be concerned that contract will end up not being fulfilled. But I don't think it's because he's Grandpa Hayward or he's not Patrice
he is.
Bergeron.
And he's not a good
I
guy,
think
and
it's
he's
because
not
he got a
anything like that.
catastrophic injury and he may never be the same player.
Look, he's affecting the whole
Well put,
franchise right
Russell.
now.
Well
it's
put.
pretty clear that Brad
Whose
Ste-
fault is that?
Well,
No, that
yeah,
Brad
that is
Stevens-
Brad's fault.
Brad
Brad's gotta get a grip
Stevens
on this.
only had one addition to this roster this year.
That's right.
Was Gordon Hayward.
That's right.
He has not been able to integrate Hayward into this roster smoothly.
I agree.
Part of it is because Hayward has not been the player that he expected. Second of all, the other players who obviously played quite well and led us to the 7th game of the
But
Eastern
now they are
Conference Finals.
regressing.
Yes.
Right.
Brown and
Joe.
Tatum especially.
So my point is that Gordon Hayward, despite the injury, has been a negative since he.
Here's
was
my
signed.
take on
no, there's no argument there. But we're saying that by the end of the season, he could be a
Right.
positive.
Now these guys came in. There were no big target on them last year, no anything. All we have heard all summer is the Celtics are great, the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, blah, blah, blah. They have a gigantic target on them every game now. And also these guys, a lot of them, they stop believing all their press. They have to become humble. The coach has to get a rein on these guys right now.
Yeah.
And
Look, I think these Jaylen Brown's been very open in the media this past week about how you're
He's
looking
been
over
talking on it.
you're looking over your shoulder when you do something bad. You're not quite sure about the rotation. I totally agree with you. Brad has not figured this rotation
No.
out. The two young guys, and actually let's add Rozier in there, a third, who got a taste last year. They got a taste. have not
they
reacted
liked it.
well to them being secondary or third options on this team. Nothing's working right now.
they're
So-
all superstars.
So let's be honest. What I'm saying is what the Celtics are feeling because they're trying to integrate Hayward into the system as if he's a normal player. Okay.
Yeah, and it's
As-
not-
all right.
I agree with you.
So I'm just saying is maybe they're not as patient as you all are concerning Hayward's injury because that's what they're showing. They're putting this guy in there when it's
Right,
clearly
and I would argue, and we talked about this earlier. I think Brad should bring him off the bench for the
Yeah.
next 15
Yeah, I do
games.
too.
Right, let him play
Yep.
and have him play. The one thing that he's done well this year is basically play point forward. When he's in on that second unit, playing more sort of playmaker role, Rozier's not that kind of player. Play Rozier off the ball, play Hayward with the ball, and see if you can get something
I
out
think
of it.
Rozier has been a major part of the demise right now.
Yeah,
I think
he
this
hasn't
guy,
responded.
He's got an ego. He's got whatever. He thinks he should be the guy, and he's not taking being the backup very well.
Oh, but you'd expect
Charles
that.
Barkley
Look,
was right in the very first game of the year at halftime. He said, "They got too much talent here. They can't fit it all."
Well,
on the
yeah, how
same
could you
floor."
expect Rozier to take a step back? Why
he's a
should he
third
have to
freaking
take
year
a
player. That's why.
No, but that's not how this works.
He's
The
a
guy's in
second
fr-
string player. That's
He's
why
in
I
a free
accept
agent
that.
year. The guy played remarkable in the
Yes,
playoffs.
I agree.
I can't expect Rozier to think everybody in the summer is
He
telling
wants
him
to
how
play for his
wonderful
next
he is.
team.
But
right?
however, we have a guy named Kyrie Irving on the
Look,
team.
Yeah.
But you both can be right. I think you're right. I think Rozier's found it very hard to step back from 30-plus minutes a game
In the playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on his free agency year.
Yeah,
Where
but
he
that's a
screwed up.
That's a hard
Sometimes
thing.
he had great games, but other games he was horrendous.
But he's not playing. If this is the Rozier we're going to get for the rest of the year, I'm
we
not
don't
happy
need it.
about that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I'm not happy with the fact that the Celtics are 3-point happy. I know what the NBA is, but the NBA is a lot of bad teams heaving up 3-pointers. We're supposed to be a championship caliber team, and we are an athletic team, and we need to
Totally
start
agree.
scoring 2 points and not heaving up 3 because that's how you even the
You
game.
got to get to the rim.
Right?
You got to get the
Yeah, a
ball to the
little
rim.
old-fashioned basketball wouldn't hurt them.
Totally
We're
agree.
not sitting there and saying the Boston Celtics have just an array of great shooters, are we? We're saying they have a bunch of great basketball players, athletes. And you're not
And with
utilizing
some good
that.
shooters.
Right,
Right.
right. Yeah, but you're not utilizing that when Marcus Smart, who is not, if you can believe
Shooting
it,
18% for God's sakes.
Marcus Smart is the worst shooter historically in NBA
Why is he
history.
allowed to shoot?
And he's actually having his worst
Right.
statistic
Now,
year.
the only
in
thing I would
shooting.
say, though, is that his volume of shooting has gone down. He's not shooting it as often as he was.
Right,
last
but
year.
he's shooting percentage-wise the
Yes,
worst.
the worst, yeah. But there are too many guys. Al's, I think, has a 27
Yeah,
point,
Al's off.
27% from three-point range. He was at over 40
You know
last
what
year.
Al is, too. Al's not 27. Al's 40.
Look, Al's a
How
great
about Marcus
player.
Morris comes into the starting lineup instead of Hayward?
Right.
Marcus
Well,
Morris might be the best player other than
right
Kyrie
now,
on the team
he
right
actually,
now.
that's a great point, Timmy. He has been the best player.
Yeah.
But Al has been very quiet. I love Al,
I-
and I know he's going to be there for the playoffs, but he's been non-existent the whole year.
Al must have had 5 threes, wide open threes the other
wide
night.
open. Missed them
Clang.
all. Yeah.
Air balls.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
been rough to
that's
watch.
not Al Horford. That's not the real Al Horford.
Yeah,
that I know.
look, their shooting will improve, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. Like, get the ball to the rim. Get the ball to the
Yeah.
rim. Jason Tatum needs to get the ball to the rim.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown needs
That
to get
used
the
to be
ball
his
to the
game.
rim. And they've stopped.
And we don't want to seem like a doomsday report, but the fact is that they're 4.5 games out of
Yeah, it's
first
gonna-
place in Toronto, and they don't even get past Milwaukee last year in a 7-game series if Milwaukee had had home court advantage.
Totally
so
agree.
if you don't have home court advantage in the playoffs, the Celtics could be one and done.
I will say this: the East is underrated. I think right
I
now.
totally
There's some
agree.
freaking
Yeah.
strong
Well, the
teams
talent
out
is
there.
starting to flow back.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, we're in trouble.
None of these
Absolutely.
games look like cakewalks anymore.
We got to get our act together. All right, that's our show for tonight. I want to thank the boys. I want to thank everyone behind the scenes. Of course, the lovely and talented Adrian and handsome Todd. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night. I'm Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night. The elephants are in town.
Here comes the circus.